Hi everyone, welcome to week 1 of PA 8050, Foundations of Public Administration. I'm Dr. Jim Harrold. I'm going to be your professor. I think I will or have met a lot of you in the orientation on August 19th. I'm actually recording this on August 10th, so it's coming up, but by the time some of you view it, it might be past August 19th. So anyway, I am looking forward to that. We're probably going to talk about some of this on August 19th, although not a lot. But this week 1 overview has two purposes. The first purpose really is to go over how the course is set up, and so in doing that I'm going to talk about the syllabus. And the second purpose is to talk about the readings that I gave you for week 1, which are very limited. It's the preface of the box book. And then I asked you to look at some video presentations that UNO helped produce called the Ask Me Why I Care series about people involved in public administration. So we're gonna cover those two purposes in this overview lecture, which takes about 30 minutes. And I just want to let you know that each week I will be providing you with an overview lecture. So we're going to be doing this every single week, and this supplements the readings and the writing assignments that I give you week to week. So let's get right into that. Okay, so first of all, most of you have been on the Blackboard site, and I'm assuming a lot of you or most of you have taken online classes before. But in case you haven't, here's I want to provide you this one page to let you know this is what your Blackboard site looks like when you open it up. You see this thing at the top that says student preview mode is on. That's just on my screen. Your screen's not going to have that orange banner, but other than that, this is what your screen looks like. Every time you open up the Blackboard site, it's going to open up two announcements. That's the default position, and then from there you're going to go down these tabs. So these tabs are the important tabs in the course. There's this one, Syllabus and Important Information tab, and we're going to talk about the syllabus this week. Then the next one is Weekly Lectures and Assignments, and so every week there's going to be a lecture just like this one. This one happens to be in the week 1 tab there. And then Weekly Readings, and this is actually all opened up throughout the course. Week 1 through week 17, I have all the readings that I assigned already laid out on the Blackboard site, so you could actually read ahead on some of those. And then Weekly Discussion and Thought Sharing, which is our conversation and discussion board. And then Term Project Assignments. This lays out every assignment associated with the term project. Announcements, where we're at right now, and then Contact Instructor. You can click on that to learn more about me. And the course homepage is interesting. I don't have it set to default to the course homepage, but you can go to that, and that has, for example, deadlines for assignments on it and other reminders. So that's a useful course. And then finally, you have, let me just skip down. This is Blackboard Help. Email is to email other students or me. And then My Grades. This tab here is important for you to understand the progress that you've made week to week in the course. So all these tabs are important to you, and you will want to spend some time navigating the Blackboard site and understanding what all these tabs do. So in terms of the introduction to the course, this is what this course is all about. This is called Foundations of Public Administration, and so it is really literally the foundational course for your master's degree or for your certificate. And as such, it really lays the groundwork for you for the rest of your master's degree program. So the goals of this course, as you can see right here, are to, well, before I get to goals, let me talk about this. The course is designed to provide a grounding in the key concepts of public administration. So the goals of the course are to provide a theoretical foundation for understanding events affecting public administration. So we're talking about a little bit of the theory of public administration. Then we're talking about the second goal is to make students aware of the nature and development of the field of public administration as an academic discipline, and to give finally, to give students a conceptual framework within which to examine their role as public servants. So really, that's the practical part of this. We are all, every one of us, myself included, public servants. So this course gives you sort of the academic and the theoretical foundation for understanding really why we're public servants. So where did I get this? This came right off my syllabus. So you can find this in the Blackboard tab that says Syllabus and Important Information. So click on that and you'll find a few other things there, which I'm going to get to in a minute, but this is where you find this syllabus. Okay, so also in the syllabus, we are accredited by an organization called NASPA, which is the Network of Schools of Public Policy, Affairs, and Administration. And that's a very important accreditation, by the way. We're one of the higher ranked schools in the NASPA scheme. Not all schools, public or private or for-profit, that offer a degree in public administration, a master in public administration, or a master in public policy, or a master in public management, for example. Not all of those schools are accredited by NASPA. This is specialty accreditation, which is completely different than institutional accreditation, which most universities have. And so to be NASPA accredited, you have to meet certain criteria. And NASPA assigns some competencies to their programs. And these 3 competencies I want you to look at, because this course is going to help you meet these competencies, although it's not going to help you meet them 100%, but it's going to give you a good start. And the rest of your coursework really is going to help fill in the gaps. So the first thing is to understand the context of public and nonprofit organizations. So through this course, I'm going to frame this context in terms of the political, the economic, the legal, the historical, and the cultural context. And we're going to talk about those things through the course. Second competency is to gain the ability to determine the unique public purposes of public organizations and their role in accomplishing their purposes. So, you know, it's our view that public organizations have unique purposes that are set apart from for-profit and nonprofit organizations, for that matter, and they're not all the same kinds of organizations. And that is not to say at all that one is any better or has some kind of higher cultural standing than another. The point is that public organizations do fill a unique niche. Nonprofits fill a unique niche. And for that matter, for-profit corporations fill a niche in our society. But this course is about understanding the unique public purposes of public organizations. And then finally, a competency we want you to have is to be able to articulate and model a personal commitment to the spirit of public service and public values. So we believe that there are some values of public service, and hopefully this course goes a long way towards helping you think through these values and begin to figure out for yourself how those fit into your life and your career. Okay, so how do I run this course? I say operationalizing the course through activities. So how do I do this? How do I operationalize the course? Well, really there's 4 central activities, and you can find all these in the syllabus. The first of these activities is reading. So you can expect to be reading about 2 to 4 hours a week. I'm going to assign readings from the box text. We're going to read almost everything in the box text. And then I'm going to supplement that with a lot of other readings. And so, as I said earlier, if you click on this Blackboard tab that says Weekly Readings, you can actually see everything that's assigned for the course to read right now. But do expect to read, because that's how you're going to learn the material. The second central element is this idea of reflective journaling. So about 5 times this semester, which is going to amount to about every 3rd week or almost every other week, weeks 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12, I'm going to have you write a reflective journal on readings. Now, a reflective journal is more than just summarizing what you read. It's really reflecting and understanding and applying the readings to your life and career. So you will see that our first reflective journal will be in week 3. So this gives you the opportunity to more fully understand the readings. And then discussion. Now I'm going to assume that a lot of you have taken online classes before, and you know that a discussion board is part and parcel of an online class. And honestly, the discussion board is something that students often feel trapped by. They feel like maybe it's boring. What I try to do is I try to use this format called post, question, respond for most weeks. Not every week, but for most weeks, what this means is that I'll pose a question, you'll post a response, then classmates have a chance to critique or question what you said, and then you have a chance to respond. And so this 3-part format in the discussion board gives us a chance to banter back and forth on these ideas of public administration. So you can see, let me highlight that here, for each one of these things I just talked about, you can find these in a Blackboard tab. So you need to go to those tabs and understand what's there. So what's the 4th element? The 4th element of operationalizing the course is the scholarly research project, also known as a term project. And it is a paper, but it has 4 parts to it. And those 4 parts are: 1, a proposal, which is due September 17th. I'm actually going to have you propose to me what you're going to write on. The second part is a statement of progress or an update. That's due a little more than halfway through the semester, where you're going to update me on your status. And then the third part is actually in 2 parts itself. It's a presentation. I'm going to have you make a PowerPoint presentation with a voice-over narration, and we're going to post those on the Blackboard site. And at the same time, during that week that we do that, which is the second to the last week, I'm going to ask you to complete some peer evaluations. So that part is in 2 parts. And then finally, the last part is the paper that's due December 14th. So now what are you going to write on? Well, in the syllabus, and starting on page 3, you're going to see that I have 5 topic areas: the founding era, the progressive era, the New Deal era, writing about comparisons of models of public administration, and themes of public administration. So I would encourage you to look at the syllabus and for a little more explanation about what those themes are. And where can you find all this? Look at the tab on Blackboard that says Term Project Assignments. And all these assignments are listed there along with the point value for each of them. And so finally, there is a 5th element, which was a really goofy movie with Bruce Willis in it. But the 5th central element and some other information is right here, the weekly overview lectures. This is one of my weekly overview lectures. You're going to find all these lectures on the weekly lectures and assignments tab. So each week, basically, I'll have a video lecture like this. It's linked to my YouTube site. It doesn't take you very long to download it. In fact, when you click on it, it just takes you to YouTube, and you'll be able to watch the lecture. And then a little more information, which is also in the syllabus and important information tab. There's a link to the textbook, which you should be getting real soon if you don't already have it. There's a grading rubric, which I'm going to go over in a minute. There's a sample written assignments paper, and there's a link to a really useful tool called the Purdue OWL, which is from Purdue University. And if you haven't seen it, it provides really, really excellent help in the area of writing. Not just academic writing, but also professional writing as well. So I'd really strongly encourage you to take a look at that link. Okay, I have 2 grading rubrics or grading guidelines here. This first one has to do with the discussion board. So I said we have a discussion each week, and it's this post, question, respond format. Well, you're not each week you're not going to get the maximum, which is 10 points, if you just show up and say something. So really, a 2-point discussion is minimal participation or not meeting the deadlines. You know, a minimal grade would be poor spelling and grammar, and posts appear to be done in haste. They're barely relevant. They don't add to the discussion, or they show indifference. A 10-point participation is that you meet all the required deadlines for participation, that they're always including proper grammar, spelling, and usage, that they're thoughtful and show an excellent grasp of the topic, and that you integrate course material and support your points, and that the posts are very interesting and contribute important points to the discussion and invite further discussion. So yes, this is subjective, but this is how I grade the discussions, and this is how I grade your written work right here. And so I go from here from exemplary to unacceptable, and you can see basically on your written work, I'm looking at format, content, and logic. So all of this information is at the syllabus and important information tab, and I'd like you to take a look at that as well. Okay, so let's switch gears for a second. We talked about the syllabus. Let's talk about what I've asked you to do for week 1. And what I've asked you to do is look at the preface for the box text. And I've also asked you to look at these Ask Me Why I Care presentations that UNO hosts. And so the going in question really for the week is, who are the public administrators? And that's what some of those videos of public administrators talk about, but who are these people? And so my going in assumption for this class, if you're pursuing a degree in public administration, or you're pursuing a certificate in public management, my going in assumption is that you are interested in the relationship between our governments, and that is with an S, our governments as constituted, and the organizations we create to carry out the laws passed by our constitutional governments. So you're interested in how we carry out programs like Medicare and Medicaid. You're interested in how a city's budget actually translates to the programs that the city has to do. So my going in assumption is that's an interest area for you. So we all share that in common, but once we get past that, really, what is our view of government and how it works? And second, who are the people that make this government work? That is to say, who are these administrators, these public administrators? So are we public administrators, or are we public service practitioners, a term that Box uses in the preface? Do we become these public service practitioners because we possess special skills, knowledge, and experience? Or, do we fill a role in public administration because we know someone? We supported a campaign, or we're otherwise politically connected. And finally, does the public and the media understand what it is we do? Are public administrators understood? Or are we seen as, unaccountable bureaucrats, which is a term that you might see a lot in media or other places? And so when we start talking about the way public administration happens, the way we do our jobs as public administrators, there's a couple of ways to consider how it gets done. And Box outlines these in this preface. First of all, he talks about this idea of instrumentalism. And then he talks about this idea of having a contextual view. So what is this idea of instrumentalism? Well, instrumentalism really is that public administration is a tool of elected officials to carry out policies and achieve specific goals and outcomes. And this approach assumes that millions of public employees wait quietly at their desks for orders to be handed to them from a mysterious other place, and that these orders are fully developed by knowledgeable people who comprehend the social world and public needs in their full complexity. And so what Box says is that view isn't necessarily wrong, it's just incomplete. Because in fact, public administrators don't get a protocol for every possible action that they're going to carry out. They maybe do have discretion. And so this contextual view, what he's saying is public professionals interact with peers, elected representatives, and citizens in formulating and reformulating programmatic goals and plans for action, putting them into effect, and revising them during implementation. And so there is this idea that we as public administrators, when we're out in the field doing our jobs, we do have discretion, and we're actually interacting with the elected leaders who have written the laws that we live by. And so these are two themes really that are really big in public administration, and there's all kinds of little rabbit trails from these ideas that you can go down, and during this course we will go down some of those rabbit trails. So why does this happen? I mean, why this idea of contextual public administration, and why this idea of instrumental public administration? So, what happens when new information emerges about the problem that the public administrator is addressing? So Box uses this example of homelessness. So what if we find out new information about the problem of homelessness in our city? We find out new information about who the homeless are, and that new information either supplements or contradicts the law that was written to cover the homelessness problem, for example. And so in that case, what does the public administrator do? Or the program might produce on-the-ground results that suggest the need for modification. And so the city might come up with a program to mitigate homelessness, and it turns out it doesn't work. Then what do we do? What does the public administrator do? Or the program causes perceptions to change, or public action causes the program to change. So for example, the fact that the city has chosen to address homelessness may bring attention to the fact of homelessness in our city, and it may produce a public outcry. It may produce a multiple set of public opinion on the problem. And how's that going to change implementation of the program? Or the broader social context of the public problem changes, forcing modifications. If suddenly, for example, this issue of homelessness, we enter into another economic depression, say something similar to the Great Depression, how would homelessness be affected if instead of 5% unemployment in the United States, we had 25% unemployment? How would that change the problem of homelessness? Or perhaps, and I threw this one in here, perhaps the law was purposely vague to begin with. And that means that sometimes legislatures or city councils pass laws that are vague enough that administrators have some discretion. And so all that leads to this last set of questions I have. These are questions that really are kind of rhetorical, but we're going to answer these as we go along in the semester. So the first question is, can we separate politics and administration? There's this famous idea of a politics administration dichotomy, that the political arm of government, that would be elected legislatures, and the administration arm can be separate, and that administrators can carry out pretty much to the letter what the legislatures have passed as law. But can we truly do that? And a second kind of tricky question is, are policies developed only by elected representatives? Or do public administrators influence the shape of policy or participate in its development? The third question is, can public administrators carry out their jobs in a value-neutral manner, or do they and should they bring their own values into carrying out their duties? That's a really tricky question, and that's had some currency, a lot of currency lately. And then how much discretion does a public administrator have? Does this vary by context? How much discretion does a police officer have? For example, this very emotional question has been in the media a lot in the past few years. I mean, how much discretion does a police officer have? And does it vary by context? So that's a really difficult question. And who are these public service practitioners anyway? And this leads to my final slide for this presentation for this week. And so for this week, what I want you to do, and really it's a pretty simple week, I'm going to ask you to participate in 2 discussion boards. I'm going to get to those in a second, but I want you to watch this Ask Me Why I Care stories. I assign the particular people I want you to look into, but really feel free to look at all of them because they're all really good stories. And then participate in the discussion that asks these 4 following questions about the videos. And what I want you to do is spend some time thinking through these 4 questions and then posting to these. For this week only, I'm not requiring a response, but I am encouraging people to do so because this is the first week and it's a short week as well. And then I also have an intro discussion set up, which I would like all of you to participate in. And then finally, please read and understand the syllabus. I have a discussion post set up where you can post questions that you think everybody might have, or you can email me and ask your questions about the syllabus. Because I don't want you to misunderstand the syllabus during the first week. If you have questions, I want to make sure they're cleared up during the first week. So that's it. There's my blank slide. All the presentations end on the blank slide. That's it for the week. I look forward to spending this semester with you. Thank you very much.